today's topic that I wanted to talk about is Tower of God. Now, Tower of God has 6 episodes, but the webcomic, the webtoon, whatever you want to call it, has like a bunch of chapters. Like, the story is really in depth. But right now, it seems like the popular thing to talk about is Tower of God, mainly because it's new in the sense that it's being adapted into an anime. Because as you guys all know, usually manga are adapted into anime, but this time around, Crunchyroll partnered with a studio and they brought us Tower of God, which is a webtoon. That's not a typical manga. And I think that the fan base is being like mixed up. I feel like the webtoons community and the manga community is being united. But you do gotta realize that it is 2 different communities, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they blend together. You know, because sometimes we know that some communities can be toxic. Like, it seems like, I'm just going to use this as an example, like some communities such as like My Hero Academia community and the Black Clover community, it seems like for some reason they don't really get along. It's like they can't enjoy both, and you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel the same way with Tower of God. I feel like some people won't give it a chance just because it's Korean and not Japanese, which I think that's kind of wrong, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. So far, I've been watching it, and it's only has 6 episodes so far, and it's really good. And it's so good, in fact, that I went and checked out the webtoon, and I've never read a webtoon in my life. You know, I never did it, but the anime was so good that I was like, hey, I gotta read ahead to see what happens next, because you know how each episode comes out like once a week, and you have to wait essentially another week for another episode. So this week we're gonna get episode 7, and like, it's just so good to the fact that, okay, let me slow down a little bit. It's really good on what we have so far, because I know with YouTube, some people are gonna see the video immediately after I put it up, and some people are gonna see the video, you know, a week later or 2 weeks later, a month later. So as of right now, on episode 6 of Tower of God, it's really good. Like, I've read the first couple of chapters of the webtoons, like I said, because, you know, I just wanted to see what it was about. And it seems like, from my, you know, reading and comprehension, the anime really adapts the webtoon really good. So if the anime is continuing to, you know, pretty much adapt the webtoon, that means the webtoon is probably pretty good. And now this is just an assumption, because I've only read the first couple of chapters or the first couple of episodes. I don't really know the terminology for webtoons, because like I said, that's my first one I've ever read. And the only reason I'm doing it is because it seems like there's been this renaissance of webtoons turning into anime, and it's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. But right now I'm reading My Hero Academia because I am not caught up on the manga. I was essentially an anime only for My Hero Academia, but the format of the series being seasonal, it kind of hinders me a little bit from being up to date with the story, because that's a whole nother community. It's like a bunch of communities within one larger community. And what I mean by that is, some people only watch anime only, and that's how I was for My Hero Academia. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. I might as well support the author of the series. So I went ahead and I bought a subscription to read manga online. So now I'm just going to catch up on My Hero, and turning that back into Tower of God. Tower of God has so much content that I would need to catch up on. So I'm not going to catch up on it exactly right now. I'm just going to stick to the anime. And after I'm done watching the show on Crunchyroll, because I do believe that even though I read a couple of chapters, I stopped myself from doing that, and I wanted to go into the anime without reading chapters, so they hit harder. You know what I mean? It just hit different whenever you go into an anime without having read the manga. But at the same time, the manga hits just as hard. The only difference is it's not animated, but essentially they're the same story. So I guess some people just don't like to read, but maybe I'll make a video on why you should read manga in the future, because some people just only like anime, and I think that's a kind of holding some people back from experiencing a lot of stuff. Because honestly, not all manga get anime, and there's a lot of good manga that are not gonna get an anime that you should check out, but you won't ever get to check it out if you're just an anime only. You know what I mean? So Tower of God, like I said, it's really good, and I think people should watch it, but I think people should try to let go of barriers. And I think when you're a Japanese purist, you're missing out on a lot of content. You know what I mean? Because this is really good. I'm not gonna lie, it's really good so far, and I really think y'all should check it out. I actually got another video on it. I'll leave that down in the description. I kind of go into more details about what my first impressions were, so you should check that video out. Another thing that I think that is pretty important for people to know is how the anime and manga landscape works. I plan on making a video going into more detail about this, but in this video I'll just leave like a little, a little snippet of perhaps what you're gonna see in the next video. But basically how the anime and manga landscape works is every year, without a doubt, there is one anime that has more hype than the others. For example, last year it was Demon Slayer. This year it's Tower of God. And next year, who knows what it'll be? Maybe it'll be the Inuyasha sequel, or maybe it'll be Bleach. Who knows? But there's always one anime that has more hype than the rest, and it's usually something that's new. And the reason for this pretty much is trends. People like to hop on trends and have stuff to talk about. Like, that's the whole point of social media. That's pretty much what I'm doing now, is we like to come together and talk about the things that we enjoy. And to keep the conversation going, there always needs to be something new. So to be honest with you, in a couple years time, it's probably going to be something else, unless Tower of God manages to continuously keep up the quality that it's going at right now. Then it'll continue to be talked about. But if the quality of the show dwindles, people will stop talking about it because of something called hype. And I'm gonna make a video about hype later. So subscribe if you want to see that. But anyways, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Thanks very much for watching, and I love you guys.